I am so pleased today to be able to talk to Professor Nick Petron. He's spent more than 40 years teaching at Adelphi University in New York, but graduated in 1968 from Kansas Wesleyan University.
Indeed.
So my first question, of course, is how did you find Kansas Wesleyan University in 1968? You were an East Coaster.
Indeed. You'll hear this again in my speech today.
That's okay.
But my uncle mustered out of the Army at Fort Hays and met a girl from Salina who was going to Wesleyan and came back to Salina with her. And it didn't quite work out for him. But she graduated, and he loved Wesleyan and mentioned it to me over and over when I was in high school. That, in combination with a recruitment event that was held at a hotel in New York City for East Coast kids to check out Kansas Wesleyan. And when I heard about it in my guidance office, I went, that's the place that, what's his name? Why do I need to check out? So I went, and worked out beautifully. I went, he sold it, I bought it,
there you
and here
go.
I was. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I also wanted to get to see something new.
Yes.
I was born and raised in New York and New Jersey, so I needed out.
Well, so many students, and they'll be being granted their degree today, and then they'll feel like, what's next? So how did you do the what's next? Because you had a BA in theater.
Indeed. Actually, it happened while I was in Wesleyan. I went home one spring and auditioned for summer stock.
Yes.
And I got into a musical theater company, and I didn't really perceive myself as a musical theater person, but I got a job between my sophomore and junior year at Wesleyan in a musical theater company that was union called the Gristmill Musical Playhouse in Andover, New Jersey, and I spent the next 4 or 5 summers there doing summer stock for pay.
Wonderful.
So it was serendipitous, actually. So serendipitous, in fact, I went with a girlfriend from Wesleyan, who was my girlfriend at the time, to auditions in New York. She would go to musical ones, and I would go to straight ones. And I'm a straight actor, I do serious theater. And when we didn't have conflicting auditions, we would go with each other. So I was hanging out in the hallway, excuse me, and she came, I was sitting in the hallway, she went into audition and came out, the choreographer came out, a wonderful woman who I still know named Sarah Wisdom, and she came out and she said, she was from Texas, she said, okay, you get in there, do that audition. And I went, whoa, I'm not here for the audition. She goes, you're an actor, aren't you? I said, yes. She said, get in there. So I went in and I had no pressure, I wasn't tense, did the dance combination. She came out later and said, okay, tomorrow callbacks, vocal, you, and you. And I went, whoa. And my girlfriend at the time didn't get a call back. And that was the beginning of the end of us, but the beginning of my relationship with the Gristmill Musical Playhouse. So, again, serendipity along the way.
So we didn't know you sang.
I knew I did a little bit, because I was in a rock and roll band here.
Sure.
It wasn't musical theater, but it was singing.
Right.
I did a lot of backup. I wasn't a lead singer. So I could sing, but I wasn't fabulous at it.
So I've been asking around a little bit, and I heard you were a troublemaker.
Define trouble.
Well, I heard you kind of had East Coast ideas, big ideas.
Yes, I did. I don't know if they were big. They were certainly different. And I think the collision of the sort of warm, wonderful, comforting Kansas, arms around you thing during the Vietnam War made me anxious. I was, still am, in retrospect, heavily against the Vietnam War. I had lost high school friends in Vietnam. I was a volunteer for Robert Kennedy, hoping to get him elected. You know how that turned out. So yeah, I guess you could call it troublemaking, but I think those of us who were, they were also kids from Kansas, so it wasn't just East Coast punks like me. But we felt strongly that the war was immoral, and that whatever we could do to stop it, even doing stupid things, was appropriate. So in that case, yeah, sure, I was a troublemaker.
So as you look back,
By the time I got out of graduate school, I had 14 arrests for civil disobedience. Not proud of that, but that was part of
with
the
protesting,
Yes.
is that part of the?
Yeah.
It was an interesting period.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it was frightening.
Yes.
We all could be drafted at any minute.
Right.
I had a very low draft number. The minute I graduated from here, I knew I was going to graduate school. There was another way to forestall the draft. I'd also make friends. Well, 3, that's enough from high school. I wasn't saying I'm a pacifist. I don't know. I just didn't want to die. I was 22 years old.
So when you look at all the things that you've done, because I went through the list of accomplishments in performance, accomplishments in acting, voiceover, accomplishments that your students have made during the number of years you've been teaching in Delphi, and your accomplishments at Kansas Wesleyan University. What are several things you're most proud of?
My marriage. Given all of that
I love to hear
stuff.
that. That's wonderful.
Given all of that stuff,
Yeah.
it's really hard to have a relationship from either end that's sustainable
Right.
because of attention and or awards or accolades. And Regina's gotten a lot of her own. So I mean, we had pressure on both sides, but I think I'm most proud of having a healthy relationship with the woman I love dearly. Puts up with my bad jokes. And doesn't always recognize there are some good ones in there. But there's that. Professionally, I'm proud of all of the stuff, the awards and all that stuff. It's stuff to me. I'm most proud of my students because I feel like we have a responsibility to pass on whatever God gave us and whatever we've managed to hone. It's a real responsibility to pass it on to someone who can keep carrying the ball and do it better than we thought we could. So I think I'm most proud of that, my teaching, which I learned here.
So when you're thinking about what you learned here, and I know we'll hear some of this afternoon
You shall.
because you're going to talk to the students, but how can I encourage students who are terrified? They want to go to Los Angeles, they want to go to New York, they're kind of terrified. So how can we encourage?
Well, I think first thing you have to recognize, as I had to recognize, is first thing we have to fight is we all think we're frauds. I thought I was a fraud. Everybody thinks they're a fraud. And then you have to get over the fact that, hey, I've never done this. Whatever that is. I think it was Lenny Bruce who said, no one ever did it, whoever did it before, right? So the fact of the matter is, you have to get over the fact that you think you're a fraud and know that you have as many tools as anyone else, even if someone's full of bravado and trying to show you out of the way with their own strengths. That's crap. We're all terrified. I mean, I was terrified about writing a speech for today. I've never done a commencement speech. I've done a lot of speeches, but never a commencement speech where I feel in my soul I have to make sure they understand how well supported and trained they've been and how they can be successful if they avoid some pitfalls, which I list.
Which you list.
Which I list. And I've learned some of them over the years and some I've read about. So.
Well, I'm so happy to talk with you today, and I know it's a short interview.
That's fine, I'm very short too.
But I'm so pleased to know you. And you were granted our 2015 Distinguished Alumnus Award.
That was a big deal to me.
In fine arts, and it was a big deal to us, the very first. And so I'm so pleased you're here today to deliver the commencement.
Thank you. Pleased to be here.